On a sunny afternoon in the heart of an upscale neighborhood, a large mansion stands as a testament to its owners. Success, the mansion's towering walls, gleaming windows, and lush gardens reflect the hard work that went into building such a luxurious home. At the back of the house is a private pool, surrounded by carefully landscaped greenery and expensive outdoor furniture. The pool area is an oasis offering a peaceful escape for the mansion's owner. Ravi, a self-millionaire, is enjoying a rare moment of relaxation. He lounges by the pool, soaking in the sunshine and reflecting on his achievements. The house he's worked so hard to acquire stands as a symbol of his journey from humble beginnings to success. Despite the luxury of his home, Ravi remains grounded and focused on enjoying life's simple pleasures. The peaceful afternoon, however, is about to take a sudden turn. Brad is a police officer who prides himself on enforcing the law, but unfortunately his enforcement of the law is clouded by his deeply ingrained prejudices. He is known among his colleagues for making quick assumptions based on a person's appearance. Brad holds racist views and often stereotypes people, especially black individuals, as troublemakers or out of place in certain settings. One day, as Brad is driving his patrol car through the neighborhood, he notices Ravi lounging by his pool. To Brad, the image of a black man in such a wealthy and luxurious setting doesn't match his view of the world. He assumes Ravi must be doing something wrong, something that doesn't belong in a neighborhood like this. Brad quickly decides to intervene. He's not concerned with whether Ravi is actually breaking any laws. Instead, he lets his biases take control of the situation. He pulls over and steps out of his car, ready to confront Ravi. As Brad approaches Ravi's pool, he immediately demands that Ravi leave the area. Brad's tone is dismissive and commanding. "What are you doing here?" he asks, assuming Ravi is trespassing or causing trouble. Brad tells Ravi that someone like him, a black man, shouldn't be in such an expensive neighborhood. Ravi, caught off guard, calmly explains that this is his home, his property, and that he's simply relaxing in his own backyard. But Brad is having none of it. Instead of listening to Ravi's explanation, Brad insists that Ravi must be lying. He accuses him of having no right to be there, implying that someone like Ravi, successful, wealthy, and black, couldn't possibly belong in a place like this. Ravi, maintaining his composure, continues to try and de-escalate the situation, explaining that he is the owner of the mansion and the pool. He even offers to show Brad proof of his identity, but Brad refuses to back down. Feeling threatened by this situation, Brad decides to take further action. He tells Ravi that he's calling for backup, claiming that it's his job to investigate suspicious activity and that Ravi's presence is suspicious to him. Ravi is shocked, but he remains calm, understanding that Brad's prejudice is the real problem, not his presence at the pool. As Brad insists on making the situation worse, Ravi's patience begins to wear thin. The tension in the air builds, setting the stage for a shocking reveal that will change everything. Ravi's journey to success didn't happen overnight. He didn't grow up surrounded by wealth, luxury, or opportunities. Instead, he was raised in a low-income neighborhood where access to education, career prospects, and resources was limited. His parents worked hard to make ends meet, but money was always tight, and Ravi knew early on that he would have to fight for everything he wanted in life. From a young age, Ravi was determined to make something of himself. He studied hard, even when his classmates had better resources. He worked part-time jobs to support his family, and he never let the difficulties of his environment hold him back. Rav's work ethic and determination became the foundation of his future success. While others around him might have accepted their circumstances, Ravi believed that with enough effort, he could change his life. After high school, Ravi pursued higher education. He focused on technology and real estate, two fields that interested him and offered the potential for financial success through years of hard work and learning. Ravi started building his business empire. He invested in real estate and technology, eventually founding several successful companies that made him millions along the way. Ravi became an expert in real estate development, creating and managing multiple properties. Today, Ravi owns not just his mansion, but several high-end properties across the city. His businesses are driving, and his success has allowed him to give back to his community, supporting local charities and providing jobs to others. He is a respected entrepreneur who has worked hard to achieve everything he has. Despite all of his success, Ravi has never forgot and where he came from. He understands the struggles of those still working to overcome obstacles, and he works tirelessly to make a difference for others. Ravi is the type of person who doesn't let his wealth define him. Even though he is incredibly successful, he remains humble and grounded. He values kindness and fairness and has made it a point to surround himself with people who share those values. He is deeply aware of the prejudice that still exists in society, and he's often faced racism throughout his journey to success. However, Ravi has never let those experiences hold him back. He refuses to let anyone's narrow-minded views stop him from achieving his dreams. In fact, he uses his experiences with racism as fuel to work harder and prove his worth. Ravi understands that his success is a reflection of his dedication, perseverance, and intelligence, not the color of his skin. His network includes powerful people, many of whom he has worked with through his community outreach programs. One of those influential figures is the police chief, someone Ravi has built a solid professional relationship with over the years. Ravi's contributions to the city through his business ventures and charity work have earned him respect from people in positions of power. This connection will prove important when Brad's prejudiced actions threaten to derail the peaceful day Ravi has worked so hard to enjoy. Despite Ravi's calm explanations that he owns the mansion and the pool, Brad refuses to back down. Instead of apologizing or even considering Ravi's words, he insists that Ravi must be lying. His disbelief seems to be based not on evidence, but on prejudice. Brad believes that a black man, especially one in such a luxurious neighborhood, must be a criminal or out. A place. Brad starts becoming more aggressive. He orders Ravi to leave, stating that he is just doing his job by investigating a suspicious person. However, Ravi remains calm and composed, trying his best to de-escalate the situation. Ravi continues to explain that he's at his own home, hoping to convince the officer to see reason, but Brad grows more hostile with each passing moment. The officer is adamant that Ravi has no right to be there and demands that he leaves immediately. He even threatens to arrest Ravi for trespassing on his own property. Brad's tone shifts from suspicion to anger, and soon he reaches for his radio to call for backup. He declares that a suspicious person is loitering in a neighborhood that, according to him, someone like Ravi shouldn't be in. Ravi, frustrated but still composed, is doing his best to keep the situation from escalating further, but Brad seems determined to prove that Ravi doesn't belong in this space, relying solely on his biases and not on any real evidence of wrongdoing. Brad's aggression doesn't stop at the pool area. After his failed attempt to intimidate Ravi into leaving, he decides to take matters into his own hands. Without permission, Brad storms past Ravi and forces his way into the mansion, illegally entering the house. This action crosses a serious line, as Brad has no legal reason to be inside Ravi's home. Ravi, now fully aware of the officer's clear bias and overstep, remains calm and asks Brad to leave. He points out that Brad is entering his home without cause or permission and that his actions are illegal. Despite this, Brad ignores Ravi's request and continues pushing deeper into the house, accusing Ravi of illegal activity. Ravi knows that Brad's accusations are baseless and fueled by prejudice, but he stays composed, refusing to let his emotions take control. Brad's invasive actions are a clear violation of Ravi's rights, but the officer seems to believe that his badge gives him power to do as he pleases. Brad's actions grow more forceful as he attempts to arrest Ravi, again on false charges. Ravi, recognizing the danger in this situation, decides that it's time to put an end to this escalation in conflict rather than confronting Brad physically or becoming aggressive. Ravi remains calm and makes a decision to use his power and connections to resolve the situation. Peacefully, he reaches for his phone to call someone who can help, someone who can quickly set things right. Brad, now thinking he has full control of the situation, doesn't realize that he's about to face a huge consequence for his actions. While Brad continues to berate Ravi, convinced he is above the law, Ravi calm makes the call that will change everything. Ravi knows that he has the power to bring in a higher authority, someone who can end this harassment once and for all. As the tension continues to build, Ravi prepares for the shock that will soon send Brad reeling. Ravi, still calm and composed, picks up his phone and contacts someone he knows will make a difference: the police chief. The police chief is not just an acquaintance, he is a close friend of Roby's and someone who understands Roby's character and his long-standing contributions to the community. The two have worked together on various community projects and initiatives to improve the neighborhood, and Ravi knows the police chief respects him as a successful self-made businessman. Ravi explains the situation to the police chief, making it clear that Officer Brad's actions are completely out of line. He describes how Brad approached him, made assumptions based on his appearance, and entered his home without permission. Rob emphasizes that Brad is acting out of prejudice, not any real suspicion. Ravi makes sure the police chief understands that Brad is violating his rights and that something needs to be done immediately. The police chief, shocked by what he hears, promises Ravi that he will take swift action and personally handle the situation. As Ravi explains the full extent of Brad's misconduct, the police chief grows increasingly concerned. He knows that Brad's behavior not only violates professional ethics, but also reflects poorly on the entire police force. The police chief assures Ravi that this matter will be addressed thoroughly and quickly. Within minutes, the police chief arrives at the mansion. Brad, completely unaware of the powerful connections Ravi holds, is caught off guard by the sudden appearance of his superior. He tries to continue justifying his actions, but it's clear that he is in a dangerous position. Brad can no longer deny that his behavior has been completely inappropriate. The police chief, who knows Ravi personally, quickly assesses the situation and listens to Ravi's side of the story. He sees the evidence: Ravi's calm demeanor, the illegal entry into the house, and the baseless accusations. It's clear that Brad's actions have been driven by prejudice, not any legitimate concern. The police chief orders Brad to stand down and to leave the property immediately. Brad, now realizing the full gravity of his mistake, is street. He tries to explain himself, but the police chief cuts him off. The chief sternly reprimands Brad, letting him know that his racist behavior will not be tolerated in the police force. The police chief makes it clear that Brad's actions have crossed the line and that an investigation will be launched into his conduct. The news of Brad's misconduct spreads quickly, and the damage to his reputation is swift. As the investigation begins, Brad is placed on administrative leave, and his actions come under intense scrutiny. His past behavior, including any other instances of racial bias or inappropriate actions, is now being reviewed. Brad finds himself facing serious consequences for his prejudice, and it's clear that his career in law Enforcement is at risk, meanwhile Ravi is left relieved that the situation has been resolved, but he also understands that the fight against racism and prejudice is ongoing. He continues to advocate for fairness and equality, using his voice and his platform to raise awareness about the challenges Black professionals face in spaces where they are often judged unfairly. As for Brad, the consequences of his actions will serve as a reminder that no one, no matter their position, is above the law or above being held accountable for their actions. The shocking incident with Officer Brad doesn't just end with Brad's reprimand. Ravi, who has always been focused on success, decides to use this situation to spark change. He realizes that Brad's actions are not an isolated incident, they are part of a larger problem: racism within law enforcement. Ravi understands that if things are going to change, he must take action. Ravi uses his influence to speak out against the prejudice he faced, not only for his own sake, but for others who might experience the same type of discrimination. He works with the police chief to implement new training programs within the police department. These programs focus on diversity, anti-racism, and helping officers understand their own biases. Ravi knows that changing the way police officers view and treat others is crucial for making sure this doesn't happen again. In addition to working with the police department, Ravi donates a large sum of money to organizations that focus on police reform and support marginalized communities. These groups work to ensure that Black people and other minorities are treated fairly by the justice system. Ravi wants to make sure that this incident leads to long-lasting change, not just in his own community, but across the country. Ravi becomes a strong voice in the fight against racism, using his platform to speak out. He works hard to ensure that law enforcement not only holds its officers accountable, but also works to improve how they treat all people regardless of their race. His efforts are a reminder that no matter how powerful or wealthy someone becomes, they should always use their position to stand up for what's right. As news of the incident spreads, it quickly becomes a topic of national conversation. Ravi's calm and professional response to the situation is widely praised. News outlets cover the story, and people across the country begin to take notice. Ravi's ability to stay composed in the face of such racial prejudice serves as an inspiration to many. He didn't lash out or let anger take control, instead using the moment to teach a lesson about respect, equality, and justice. His actions remind people that they don't have to be aggressive to stand up for what's right. Ravi's story spreads, and he becomes a symbol of grace under pressure. His influence grows, and more people rally around his cause for change. The incident also sparks discussions about the need for law enforcement to address racism in their ranks, and Ravi becomes a key advocate for reform. Ravi's response shows others that all facing injustice is difficult. The way we respond to it can be powerful. Instead of letting the incident define him negatively, Ravi uses it as an opportunity to advocate for a better future. His journey demonstrates that taking the high road doesn't mean ignoring injustice. It means using your position to make the world a better place for everyone. For Officer Brad, the consequences of his actions are severe. The police department begins an investigation into his conduct. Brad's behavior, driven by prejudice and racism, cannot be ignored any longer. As the investigation unfolds, more details about Brad's past behavior come to light, and it becomes clear that this wasn't just a one-time mistake. His reputation is permanently damaged. The investigation moves quickly, and Brad faces disciplinary actions. His career in law enforcement, once seemingly secure, is now in jeopardy. The police chief makes it clear that racism has no place in the force, and Brad's actions cannot be tolerated. Brad is placed on administrative leave while the investigation continues, but everyone knows that the outcome is likely to be termination. Brad's downfall becomes part of the larger conversation about the need for police reform. His actions shine a spotlight on the issues that many people and marginalized communities face when dealing with law enforcement. The public reaction to Brad's behavior forces many to confront the truth about racism in policing. As Brad's career unravels, the conversation about reform grows louder. His downfall serves as a cautionary tale that racism, no matter where it's found, will not be accepted. In the aftermath of the incident, Ravi's life moves forward, but his focus has shifted. He continues to run his successful businesses, but his passion for community outreach and fighting for justice takes center stage. Ravi's role in advocating for change has made him an important figure, and he becomes a trusted voice in the movement for equality. Ravi uses his wealth and influence to fund projects that support underprivileged communities and police reform initiatives. He doesn't stop fighting for justice just because the incident with Brad has been resolved. Instead, he views it as a stepping stone to something bigger. His resolve is stronger than ever, and he becomes a powerful advocate for marginalized people, ensuring that the lessons learned from this painful experience continue to make a difference. Ree's actions inspire others to speak out against injustice, showing that one person's voice can create a ripple effect that leads to lasting change. His message is clear. Racism should never be tolerated, and everyone has the power to make the world a better place by standing up for what is right. The moral of Ravi's story is powerful and clear. True strength lies not in wealth or status, but in using one's influence for good. Ravi's response to injustice shows that when people of power and influence stand up for what is right, they can spark real changes. Journey teaches that prejudice and racism do not define a person's worth, and that fighting for justice requires courage, integrity, and perseverance. Ravi's story also reinforces the importance of standing up against injustice, no matter the cost. It's easy to give into anger or frustration when faced with discrimination, but Ravi shows us that the best way to fight racism is with grace and action. When individuals with power use their platform to push for change, it opens the door for others to follow suit. Rav's redemption is not just in the way he handles the situation with Brad, but in how he continues to work toward a world where fairness, equality, and respect are the standard for everyone.